What are your honest thoughts about the XM? I think the front looks overstyled. I think the back looks overstyled. The wheels look like they're truck wheels. The grill, hey, I'm okay with the grill, but the way the headlights kind of sit in there just looks kind of derpy. So let's go take this into Photoshop and see what we can do. Now, before I just go off tearing into the design of this car, I always like to understand kind of where the original designers were coming from. And BMW even says here on one of their websites, it says that this is an extravagant statement. So the design of the new BMW XM has a resolute, unique identity featuring the proportions of a modern SAV, M typical design cues, and a host of distinctive accents. BMW's own chief designer, he's quoted as saying the design of the BMW XM is an extravagant statement by BMW M at the heart of the luxury segment. It has a resolute, unique identity and it embodies an expressive lifestyle like no other model in the BMW lineup. And yeah, I would say it is like no other model. And, you know, if that's what they're going for, sure, mission accomplished, I guess. But I think at the end of the day, they do also have to realize that they're selling to people that have to look at this thing. And it's interesting to me when you go like on a post like this on Reddit, where a guy about a month ago said he bought an XM for 30 grand under MSRP. And then some of the comments are basically saying like, well, yeah, of course you got it 30 grand off. They can't get those things to sell. You know, some of the other comments here, congrats, I guess. I'm sure it's an amazing car, but I'm not liking the new BMW styling. Long live the F series. Yeah, for sure. I'm fine with the looks. Yeah, the X5M looks a lot better, but the XM interior is gorgeous, and I would absolutely agree with that. I think the interior on these is amazing. It's a super cool car, even though it's a bit ugly. Yeah. It's because it looks like a hippo. The problem isn't the car itself, it's the chaotic design layered on top. I want to explore how targeting changes in the lighting, the graphics, the proportions can actually transform this car's personality from the chaos that it is right now back to hopefully something that's timeless, premium, something that you'd expect from BMW. So, as a longtime BMW fan and a designer, I have spent a lot of time kind of debating over this, and this feels like a deliberate break in BMW's philosophy. So before I move any pixels around, I want to make a plan. My goal is to take this visually frantic design, make it calmer, and to do that, I'm going to focus on three main things. First, I want to reduce the visual clutter. Good design isn't about how many lines you can add, but it's about how few you can use to tell a compelling story. The current design is a mess of conflicting shapes, random black plastic voids, and the lines that lead absolutely nowhere. As Frank Stevenson, the designer of the original X5, pointed out when actually talking about this particular car, when every line is screaming for attention, the result is just chaos. And I 100% agree. Okay, next, this is going to be about restoring that unmistakable brand identity. So for decades, we knew BMW from a block away. You knew it from the kidney grills and also from the angel eye headlights. And I don't know why they've abandoned that for whatever these are on this car, but you lose the visual presence from the front end of the car. So I'm going to bring that back. The character line should also connect here. So some of these trim pieces, they look like they kind of have no purpose, and I want to fix that. I think the front of this car is probably the biggest problem with this car. It's a confused mess. So for the fun part, we get to fix this. The very first step is to bring some order back to this lighting. So using Photoshop, I'm going to get rid of the split headlight design, kind of. I don't completely hate it, but I think there's way too much space between those DRLs and the main headlights. So the daytime running lights and the main beams are now going to be closer together. I'm actually going to flip these DRLs upside down because I think that it's going to create a more visually engaging look to the front end of this car. I think this one change instantly changes the entire feel of the front of this car. And I mean, drop a comment, let me know, do you like this divorced headlight kind of setup that a lot of manufacturers are going with? In this case, I really don't think it's doing this car any favors. So with the headlights back where our brains kind of expect them to be, We can now reintroduce BMW's strongest visual signature that they've kind of abandoned, which is those angel eyes. And I really don't want to just paste in like the old design here. This is a modern interpretation, a crisp, hexagonal double halo around the new LED projectors. And this feature, which BMW first called Corona rings with the E39 update, became a brand defining symbol. And I think that they should have stuck with that when you talk about creating a halo M car. This gives the car a recognizable face again, one that's focused and confident and not derpy and squinty and weird. Next, I want to attack the visual chaos on the bumper. The solution is simple. Use some body color here. Get rid of all this black. And I want to use it as a design tool, not just as a cover-up. I'm replacing those huge areas of cheap-looking piano black with solid body-colored surfaces. This is going to make the car look more substantial and expensive. It calms the whole front end down, letting the new headlights and the kidney grills be the actual star, which is funny because BMW themselves wanted to call attention to the kidney grill by putting that light element around it. The next piece of the puzzle is going to be to actually widen the lower section of the grill, so that lower grill, and just make it look a little bit more substantial, give those air intakes like a place to go, and make it not look so just pinched in the middle. To me, this makes the face no longer look like a chaotic jumble of just randomness, but this is a clean, confident, and defined, unmistakable BMW look. Moving to the side, there's this subtle kind of flaw that, at least to my eye, looks like a flaw. On the stock car, there's that piece of black trim, I think it's gold on some of the trim levels, that runs alongside, sitting really high and disconnected from everything. It kind of feels a little bit random, but as I was studying the design, I had a little bit of a revelation. That trim piece almost lines up with the panel gap between the hood and the front fender. Almost. Good car design is a lot about alignment, about guiding our eye across the body lines of the car. And those lines should flow. So I was going to try to move that trim piece, but I think a simpler fix, and one that actually I kind of like better, is I'm going to just align that panel gap with the gap between that the trim piece and the windows. And suddenly, like when I did that, it kind of made sense. It actually made it flow. It made the side profile look a little bit more aggressive. And of course, I just did this on the front 3/4, but obviously it just kind of leads your eye, along the lines of the car. Now, the next thing that kind of throws me off here is the wheels, and we have to talk about this. The stock wheels, they're chunky, they're blocky, they're really thick spokes. They look like they, to me, would be more at home on a truck. And like, I don't know about you, but when I get dressed up, when I put on a suit, I typically don't wear muddy combat boots with a 3-piece suit, right? So I want to go with something that's a little bit sleeker, a little bit more in that luxurious character. And so I'm going to go with the multi-spoke wheel here. You've seen me swap wheels in Photoshop on cars 100 different times on this channel. And so obviously that is one piece of this that I had to tackle. Now I'm going to continue with this theme of fewer elements but stronger presentation when we get to the back of the car, which suffers from the same problem of I think it's just over design. Quad tailpipes stacked vertically on top of each other. This putting the rear window wiper in that kind of typical spot where most economy cars put a window wiper. Like, it's just kind of weird things that I think we can fix really quickly here. So my solution, at least from the bottom down, is going to be to replace the 4 stacked pipes with a clean, just well-pronounced dual exhaust system. I think the large integrated finish is still sporty, maybe even more sporty, but it's in a much more mature way as well, which I think this car, when I think about the intent of what they were going for with the XM, feels like that's what it should have been in the first place. And now I also want to address just kind of some of the proportions in the back as well. The stock rear spoiler looks just puny. It looks undersized for this car's size. So I'm going to make it a little bit larger. I'm not going for giant like race wing here, but I do want to make a subtle adjustment so that the lines of the wing kind of come out just beyond those M1 inspired higher BMW logos on the windshield. And finally, that small detail that makes all the difference in perceiving quality. The rear wiper on the stock car is just weird. It's in a really cheap looking place, and I like on more premium vehicles where the hardware is kind of hidden or just like it's up on the top end of the window. So I want to do that here as much as I possibly can. I'm going to tuck the wiper neatly underneath that new enlarged spoiler. And I think this cleans up the rear glass entirely, giving it that kind of sleek, uninterrupted look that I really feel like they were going for. And when I look at it, even at the concept, that's the look that I feel like they were trying to achieve. And it all kind of fell apart here on the production vehicle. So a clear difference between the before and the after. We started with a design that was jarring, cluttered, fighting for itself, or fighting itself at every kind of at every angle. And just I wanted to apply some consistent design philosophy across the board here. But this is just my take. So I want to know, what do you guys think? If you like seeing me fix the XM, you might also like to see what I might do with the reimagination of a Lamborghini. Which Lamborghini? I don't know, whichever video is over here on the side. Thank you for watching, guys. God bless. I'll see you in the next video.